Nick DiVirgilio here at Sweetwater Studio A, and I have a very special guest. I'm very excited to have you here, man. Charlie Banante. What's going on, man?
How are you, man?
Anthrax is here doing a recording workshop and hanging out in the studio for a couple days, and everybody's super excited, so welcome.
I'm excited too.
Have you been to Sweetwater before?
I've never been here. Some of the other guys have been here in the past, but I've never been here, and I'm totally impressed by the whole layout. It's just amazing. I got lost before too.
It's cool. I had the pleasure of working with Frank a little bit here at Sweetwater, playing on some tracks. And
yeah, him and Ellefson were here. Yeah,
we did that a while ago, and that was super fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So thanks a lot. We're here to talk about drums and your gear.
Sure.
You've been a Tama player for how many years now?
Since '86.
Now, did you and you started playing drums? I know when you were a young kid, sort of like me, like 4 or 5 years old. Correct?
I was like, really young. And the first kit I ever had was a Gretsch kit.
Okay.
That my dad got me, and that was like the greatest thing in the world.
Sure.
It was loud. I loved it.
So what brought you to Tama?
You know, like I said, back in the 60s, 70s, when I was growing up, the two drum companies, of course, were Ludwig and Gretsch.
Right.
Slingerland too, but and then I really wanted to play Gretsch, throughout the career. And then when it came time to decide, man, there was just something about Tama Drums. And all my favorite drummers were playing Tama, and I loved their hardware, and I just went with them. And I stay loyal. If it ain't broke,
totally
don't fix it.
Well, they're a killer company, man. And since I've been here for 5 years, I know my career I played other brands. I didn't really I of course knew of Tama, but I didn't get to get into the brand until I started working here deeply. And they're fantastic drums. Huge,
they are.
Long history. And they have such a huge history in metal and rock music.
Absolutely. I think that's what established that thing with me too. With them is like the marriage of the rock and metal. And that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I went to them too. One of the other aspects that I love about Tama is that if I'm anywhere in the world and something breaks, I can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is definitely a worldwide company.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And they really take care of us.
You bet. Now, you've been through like all the incarnations of different Tama lines, all the different drums. What was the first kit you had?
Oh, was that a Swing Star or a Superstar maybe? No. I think it was one of those Imperial Star.
Right.
I can't even remember, there's been so many lines. But it was back in the early 80s, and I remember taking it on tour and just being so happy that I was playing Tama,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, so where did you end up here? Because you obviously has a custom kit in front of us here. The finish is awesome. What are you playing?
Well, this is a wrap, but these drums, these are maple shells, and there was a babinga mixed with a birch on the kicks. For some reason, I was not getting as much low end with certain kick drums, and then we did like a bit of different types of woods, and just came up with that.
Okay.
And I did a thing at NAMM with Simon Phillips. It was Simon's anniversary. I forget what it was exactly, but and they made this kit, and when I played it, they sounded so amazing. They were just singing, and they sounded like Simon's drums, and I'm like, I want that kit.
Right.
And that was it. Like whenever you see Simon play, his drums are always tuned perfectly.
Right.
And he just has his sound.
And he leaves them open, so they really
Open,
ring,
yeah.
and there's tones on all the drums.
Which is a drummer's dream.
Sure.
It's like, don't dampen the kit. You guys do what you have to do to get that sound, but I want them as nice and open as possible.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a little step back. When you're playing live, you guys do a lot of live shows, and it's a loud gig. What are you hearing? You use ears, right?
I've been using ears since early 90s.
Oh, so for a long time now. So what do you listen to when you're playing live?
I tend to just go with rhythm guitar.
Okay.
And then I'll take a little lead guitar on my right side, just like I keep them at like 70-30. And then as far as the kit goes, I like kick, snare, toms, a little bit of overheads because I tend to hit them harder, and I don't need
You can
them.
hear them anyway.
Yeah. And especially the Paiste Cymbals, especially the Rudes, they cut through the band, and I don't need them in my mix.
Okay.
So that's basically what I like to listen to. I hear vocals because everybody has vocals on stage. So, so I'm good.
Very cool. Well, let's get to your Paistes. I've been noticing, because just doing a little bit more research. I've known the band for a long time, obviously, but looking at some old live shots. You've been playing Paiste for a long time as well.
86.
Yeah, so you've kind of come up through that company as well. So how did you land on, because you played 2002s, I think, for quite a while?
And Rudes.
And so, yeah, so you've been a Rude player for quite a bit.
Love Rudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the band, because there's a lot of woof and chunk,
Yeah.
you know, and some cymbals just didn't, I wasn't hearing them when I was hitting, and so I went with the Rudes, and now the Rudes are louder than they are. So I was like, that's it, we'll go with that. But I've loved Paiste Cymbals since I was younger.
Okay.
And some of my favorite drummers played Paiste, and when you hear those records and you just hear these cymbals, it's like, that's it, that's the sound. They just make a great cymbal.
Very cool. And do you use the Rudes in the studio as well? A lot of time you guys are making your records, you kind of stick with the same live setup?
Same setup, yeah. I'll like, I'll change out, you know, this cymbal gets changed out the most because I'll go for a faster crash, a heavy crash, a power crash. Right. But that one usually changes. These have been in the mix since '86.
Wow. Okay.
Novo China, always. We developed a signature ride that is probably going to come out next year. Paiste had this 20 line that they don't do anymore. Right. But I fell in love with this ride, and now we're going to make it into a signature ride because they don't make it anymore. Okay. So we're going to go with that.
Now, maybe a dumb question, but does the finish, the color, the purple color, mess with the sound at all? Does it change or darken up the sound at all, in your opinion?
I thought it would, but it doesn't do that. And our sound man loves them. He's like, dude, whatever they did, they just cut through the band, and I just love them. So, I mean, I find that they may be a slight bit heavier, but I don't think it changes the sound at all. Okay. They still kind of glisten.
Nice. Very good. Now, obviously, you're an Evans player, too. So what is it about Evans and Tama that's a good mix for you,
so,
as far as the tones you want to get?
I'll tell you a funny story, and I won't say the other name of the drum head company, but I was with them for years, and they were like, that was the one. And then started to get bad batches of heads, and I was like, wow, this sucks. And then we were in the studio, and we set up the drums in the sweet spot of the studio, and the drums sound like crap. So we moved them over to another area, they sound like crap. Moved them to another area, they sound like crap. Move them back to the sweet spot, they sound like crap. Oh. So finally, it was like, we spent half a day trying to do this. There was a drum shop down the street from where we were recording. Took a walk down there. The guy behind the counter said, hey bro, what are you doing? I heard you were down the studio. I'm like, yeah dude, we're having a problem, man. The drums don't sound good. He's like, could I just stop you right there? Take these heads, and he gave me a set of Evans heads that fit, you know, the right sizes. Right. Took them down to the studio, put them on, night and day. The drums just started to sing. And that was it, I was hooked. Good. I said, that's it. And I get so many shows out of these heads. And I know this is like an Evans ad, but it's the truth.
Well, no, that's great. You know? I mean, yeah, if you don't have to change the heads all the time, why not? It looks like you use a fairly big stick.
Yeah.
So the heads are durable enough to kind of last with the power and the velocity you hit in those toms.
And you know, this is like a stick that I came up with. This is a signature stick from Vic Firth, and the reason why it's shaped so different because I do a lot of riding on the crash ride. Yeah. My other sticks in the past would just whittle down to nothing and break. This never breaks. Nice. So I could do this all night with no problem, and I love those sticks.
Cool. Yeah. And that's as you should. And so do you stick with clear G2s?
Yeah.
Generally, that's your go-to?
Yep.
Nice.
Snare heads, I'll fluctuate with different things, but this one I kind of like the power center. Nice. And you know, to me, a snare drum head is so hard to fall in love with because the difference, and this is, maybe some drummers understand this, maybe some of them don't understand it, but when you're playing on a festival and then the next day you're playing indoors, it affects the sound of the drum and the head. So there's been some shows where I don't put this on if we're playing inside, or vice versa. Right. You know, I don't have the bounce, I don't have the crack. You know, so it's important.
Sure. Now let's get down to some hardware, because I'm a lover of Tama Hardware as well. They make great hardware, and their pedals are really good. So you're using Speed Cobra stuff down there.
Yeah.
The way you set up your Speed Cobra compared to the way I play it is very different, which is typical because you play metal and you play a lot of fast double kick drum stuff. So your Speed Cobras are set up really tight.
Really tight,
Yeah.
and the throwback on the beater is way back.
Okay.
And back in the day when I switched to wood beaters, I'd come off stage and one of the guys would go, "Dude, your legs are bleeding." I'm like, "What?" And I'd look.
Oh, because the beater was hitting your shin?
Killed me, and I'd be bleeding. Like,
Oh, gosh.
didn't even feel it, you know? So nowadays I wear these long socks that protect my shins, but those beaters hurt. Yeah, so it's, you know, you gotta bleed for it.
That's right, man. So a little step back off the gear question, since we're talking about kick drums and pedals and stuff. So where'd you get your technique for the speed? Because you've been playing fast, you know, thrashy music for a long time, and you're very consistent in your playing.
I just love that double kick sound. There's something about it. It's a very primal thing.
Sure.
And for me, I would just fly. You know, I'd have my old Camco pedals, and if the song was, you know, so many beats per minute, well, I had to play the kicks just as fast, you know.
Right.
And I used to play a lot like this with the balls of my foot down and just swivel.
Yeah.
And never even realized I was doing it. And then nowadays I see other people doing it, and I'm like, I've always done that, you know. And
So you find your doubles and stuff like that can be faster, doing swivels back and forth? Or you
yeah,
just
and I never
follow it?
even
Yeah.
thought about it, because you cannot play flat-footed if you're playing real fast double kick, because you will create so much pain here too. But over the years, I just developed that style. And there's other tricks I do during the show where I may not be playing, you know, single notes on both kicks. I do a little double and a double here.
Sure.
And I don't even have to think about it. I just fall into it. It's just like second nature, you know.
That's awesome. So when you were a kid, how much did you practice every day?
Practiced a lot.
I played all the time.
I played all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, if I wasn't playing, I was drawing. If I wasn't drawing, I was playing.
Okay.
And my neighbors hated us. But it's just,
That's what you did.
That's what I did, and I never even thought much about it. I always knew I was going to do this.
Sure. Did you study as a kid? Like take lessons?
I went for lessons, and
Okay.
then I kind of,
Just did your own thing?
yeah.
Okay.
My first teacher was a jazz drummer, Louis, and he was awesome. He was the first teacher, because my dad took me to like maybe a handful of other places, and I wasn't 5 yet. So they said, we can't take him until he learns how to read. So my dad was like, but he can play. Yeah, we can't take him. So he found this one place, and the guy Louis brought me in. He's like, well, could he play? So my dad told me, go play. And I started playing, and then he said, that's it, I'll teach him. And that's how it went.
Nice.
And he was awesome. He had hands like butter, you know, just old school jazz cat. Love him.
Awesome. Very cool. So let's keep going here. You have some bells and whistles on the side here. An old D drum box.
I can
This
never
kind
get
of
rid of
reminds
it.
me back in the old days. That's cool, man. And I see you only trigger a few things on your kit.
Well, there's a reason for the triggering.
Okay.
I never triggered the whole kit. I would always just trigger the kick drums, and it was for the sole purpose of my monitor mix. Back in the day before these things were out, I would have a horrible sound check because just couldn't get the right frequency, couldn't get the right tone. It was a mess.
Sure.
So now it's all in there. All they have to do is give me that sound in my ear. That's it. That's all I need.
So that's more for you than for the front of house.
He doesn't even use it in the front of house.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's just for me. And I'll never use a snare trigger.
Okay.
Because it doesn't get the ghost notes.
Right, yeah,
You know.
it's only just getting the
and
credits.
and sometimes I'll trigger these two because of the sub is so close to me that when the live mics are on with these, it tends to feed back. So I'll use the trigger for those. But just for back for me. And that's it. And I think triggers always get a bad rap from people because they think a drummer is almost like cheating.
Right.
But that's not the case at all. You're still playing.
Sure.
Yeah. So
So I imagine well, we're going to talk about the seat that you're the Porter and Davies throne you're sitting on, which they're magical thrones for me. But to me, it's like with something like that, and it seems like with the triggers as well, maybe you don't play as hard at such a volume. Maybe you play a little more relaxed.
Some songs,
you can hear better?
Some songs, it all depends on the set list, and if there's a couple of songs that are coming up which are a little bit demanding, and I know I'm not going to be, going into it hard, then that's when I do benefit from that.
Okay.
So that's basically it.
Very cool. So Porter and Davies.
Awesome.
What a great invention.
I would blow the kickers at least once a week, because I just couldn't handle it.
The olds kind. Yeah.
And then found this company, and they made a special amp for me, and they made a special driver, and knock on wood, it's been okay.
Yeah, they're good company, boy, and I use them all the time too. I think they're fantastic.
Oh, they're awesome. They
Very
saved
cool.
the day.
Yeah. And triggering some effects and some sounds in here once in a while when you need it?
Yeah, there's like little segues and that are programmed in here, and there's some bells from a song, and I do all that. And believe me, it's great because I like to control it all rather than someone in the front of house. If something breaks down, we don't know. So I have this as I'm doing it, and we have a backup too, just in case.
Right.
So yeah. And then the only problem is if we're doing a different song, just has to call up the file
patch,
number,
and you're good to go.
The patch. Yeah.
All right. Sweet. Now we have to mention you have Homer Simpson down here. Is this your
Homer
hangs with you on all the gigs? Apparently?
I look at Homer every night, and it takes me away from certain things, and I'll just think about an old Simpsons episode, and I'll just be like, yeah, cool, and then the song's over. Got to go to the next song.
Killer.
But yeah. I love toys and collecting all that stuff.
Sweet. So you've been playing a long time. Band's been around a long time. You guys play hard all the time. So how much do you still play now? And what do you do before shows to do you warm up a lot before gigs? Or you kind of let the gig warm you up?
No, I'll do like about 45 minutes.
Okay.
I'll sit with the pad, talk,
Just do your thing. Just get the blood flowing.
And then, it's funny, one time, I'm going to drop a name for a minute. Terry Bozzio said to me, if you're on tour, you don't need to warm up every night because you're still warmed up from the night before. Really? Okay. And then sometimes I don't.
Okay.
I don't warm up. And if I've been out, let's say we're on like 3-4 in a row, I could just go up and play.
Okay.
But some shows I have to warm up.
And as far as practicing and learning new things, you still studying and kind of?
No, as a matter of fact, I would say that I've adapted to the way that other people learn. I go on Google and I see people do things and I'm like, that's cool. Or I'll go to a show and get inspired by something.
Sure.
Every time I see Dave Matthews, I come back home and the next day I'm playing.
Start playing.
It's inspiring.
Yeah, Carter's an amazing drummer.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's killer. Well, Charlie, man, thanks so much for taking the time to, for come to Sweetwater for first thing. I think we're going to have a great week with you guys here.
That was easy.
And it's a blast talking to you about drums and talking shop, and I'm looking forward to hearing you play, and just best of luck with everything.
Awesome. Thank you.